Welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have a garden, this one's for you. In fact, you may have heard of the polyphagus shot-hole borer. It might be pronounced slightly better, but this, in essence, is a tiny beetle that is causing major problems and damage to trees, not just in South Africa, but globally as well. This invasive pest not only poses a danger to the health of our urban trees, but the habitats of many living organisms as well. Yes, it might be in the burbs, but it's still an ecosystem. And Professor Francois Rutz, who was part of a study on this particular insect, now joins us to discuss the nature of these beetles. And if you have come across anything weird and wonderful in your garden or out in nature, please share it with us. We want videos, we want pictures. 086 408 8863. We love it. Prof, thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning.
So let's start with the little villain of the piece here, if we will, because I feel like we don't want to paint it with just one brush at this stage, but we need to know more, because I love the fact that we live in such a wooded, beautiful country, certainly down in our neck of the woods, so anything risking that is a problem. But what is this troublesome polyphagus shot-hole borer? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, it's perfect pronunciation there. So the polyphagus shot-hole borer is a minute little beetle. It's basically the size of a sesame seed.
Oh, that's tiny.
2 millimeters long, and it's able to kill 300, 400-year-old trees. So it originates from Southeast Asia, got into the country, probably in Durban or Richards Bay, somewhere there, via shipping, and then hooked onto wherever we go, and we take it with.
So how does it actually kill the tree? What's happening in that process?
So the beetle drills a hole into the tree and creates a little nest in there, and in the tunnel systems, it cultivates, it farms a fungus. So the beetle does not eat the tree, it actually eats the fungus inside the tunnels, yes. And then the holes in the tree that they create and the fungus growing in the tree blocks all the transport vessels and no nutrients and water going up and down the tree, which then kills them.
So it's their farming habits that are essentially destroying the trees.
That's just like us, yes.
That is crazy. So you talk quite specifically about the areas where they should have come in, Durban, Richards Bay, so presumably that's where they first started to be evident. How widespread is the problem now?
So in South Africa, it's currently in all provinces except for Limpopo that we know of, and also in most of the major cities. So it's very obvious that it's moving around with us through the landscape.
What's the plan of action? Obviously, you've been involved in a study now to ascertain what has been going on in the extent. What were the findings? What has really stood out for you, and what's the plan of attack?
So the thing that stands out for me is that this beetle has such a wide host range, so 150 different tree species. Oh. So it goes for a lot of things, and it goes for trees in urban areas, trees in forestry are in danger. Some of our fruit trees, since last year, it's started going to our pear trees and apples and things like that. Agro industry is going to have some impacts. So it has a very wide host range, and it's almost impossible to get rid of once it's there.
So just because farmers don't have enough to deal with right now, we thought we'd throw this into the mix. See, over 150 trees, this is a little bit terrifying. So, I mean, why is there not more fear? And, I mean, this potentially could cut out, it feels like, a major rung in the environmental ladder. So what does your gut tell you is the right way to approach this?
Well, so first of all, we've done a study to just look at what the impact's going to be financially. And in South Africa, it's going to be over 200 billion rand in the next 10 years if we do nothing. And the most important things that we can do is educate people. Like you said, not enough people know about this.
Oh, yeah.
So we need to educate people and then also literally try and stop the movement of the beetle. Stop using firewood or green waste and things like that.
That are moving around.
That's right.
Wow, just when we feel like we're getting one thing right, it's two steps back. Professor, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Still lots to talk about. I mean, of course, I think this has probably sparked a bit of fear in a lot of people right now with good intention, I promise you, but we need to send, or at least draw a line in the sand clearly right now. If you are in any way affected or have any questions, clearly we have exactly the right person to chat to this morning. You can send us those questions, 063 408 8863. And if you've got any pictures or videos to share of anything weird and wonderful, we'd love to see them as well.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for rejoining this conversation. Before the break, we explored all about the polyphagus shot-hole borer that is creating quite a lot of trouble, a tiny beetle that's causing major damage to trees, not just here in South Africa, but globally as well. But it does mark potentially disaster. And this invasive pest not only poses a danger to the health of our urban trees, but the habitats of many living organisms as well. And it feels like it is really widespread. Professor Francois Rutz, who's been part of a very important study I'm learning on these insects, now joins us to discuss the nature of these beetles. And if you've got any questions or anything weird and wonderful to show us, please do it. In fact, Al-Marie weighed in with a voice note. Let's hear from her. Oh, she's got a picture to show us. Let's take a look at this. I'm betting you're going to know exactly what that is. You learned that in first year, hey? What is that?
That is a crab spider.
Crab spider. How big is a crab spider traditionally?
About half a centimeter across. Yeah.
Okay, not a bad guy. Dangerous, not dangerous?
No, they sit on flowers and they start change their color like a chameleon to mimic the flowers, and then they wait for bees and flies to come in, and then they jump on them and them.
Can we get them to tackle a few polyphagus beetles? Identification, but now if they're so small, so what are the warning signs then? Does it exhibit on the tree? Yeah. Can you see it in any noticeable way? When we're talking about these beetles, what are the signs that they might have infested and we need to do something? What's that first warning?
So the first indication that you will have to look out for is a living, apparently happy tree with little holes in it, and then usually the tree reacts like it would react to damage with some gum oozing from that, or frass, sort of sawdust coming out as they drill into the wood. So each tree species is actually different. So if they go for a fig tree, for instance, you'll see that milk sap that fig trees make. You'll see that pouring out of little holes.
Defense mechanism.
That's right, yeah.
Contingency plan.
Yeah.
As a homeowner, what do we do? Do we need to approach someone from a scientific space? Can we tackle it with a particular kind of insecticide? How do we approach saving our trees? Can you save a tree once you've seen the holes?
Well, currently there's no indication that you can save the tree once it's infested with the beetle. So we're working with colleagues in California and Israel, and also now recently in Perth in Australia, doing lots of chemical trials. None of these chemicals get rid of the beetle once it's inside the tree. So the best thing to do is, if there's lots of beetles in the tree, that tree is going to die, so get rid of it before it causes more issues.
Just to reiterate, because I can't actually wrap my head around the possibility. So you gave us a number in terms of cost. What is this potentially going to cost us in the kind of foreseeable, the medium term, next kind of 10, 20 years?
10, 20 years is going to cost a couple of billion rand for South Africans, and the burden of that's going to fall onto homeowners and municipalities, where they have to actually cut down dead and dying trees. You can't leave these. Branches fall on people, branches fall on cars, so you have to get rid of this.
Yeah, and especially with the crazy weather. So how have you, now that we know this, it almost feels like we know too much. Who do you need to act? If we could put out a call to action right now, who do you need in your posse to help you along? And is there a number we can call if we have questions or we want to alert authorities to a possible infestation? So
what's happening across the country, most municipalities are setting up their own sort of reporting systems so that the public can look at the municipal systems, the websites for the municipalities, and find the reporting tools if they exist. And you can report the tree there. Some municipalities can actually remove trees, but they're running out of money because there's a lot of trees that need to be removed.
There's a lot of other pressures as well.
That's right.
In your heart of hearts, how scared are you? Is this something that we have a frame of reference? Have we been able to tackle something like this before to this degree, the extent?
I think in terms of devastation that this beetle is going to cause for trees in South Africa, and it's going to spread throughout Africa probably eventually, is going to cause a lot of devastation, something that we haven't seen before, across a lot of different sectors that we haven't seen before. It's not just agriculture, it's not just forestry, it's a lot of different...
the overlap as well.
And that's where a lot of the problems come in, where we in South Africa have not had to deal with something like that before. It's either a pest on a crop or on a specific tree, but not this wide.
With this much crossover. Wow, I don't know if I should be thanking you or just sending you on your way. I thought rare diseases with little babies was going to break me. I didn't think the beetle would be the one that broke me today, but this is absolutely terrifying. Again, we've got one of the foremost experts here. If you've got any questions, and if you've got anything weird and wonderful to wow us with, we'd love to see it. 063-408-8863. We are taking you into the mini wild today with very big repercussions.